This past summer, me and my mom went on our annual road trip like we usually do the past couple of summers. This was our seventh time to go out west and to go to national parks. This past summer, the parks that we decided to go to was Grand Teton National Park, which is in Wyoming, Yellowstone National Park, which is also in Wyoming, Crater Lake National Park in Oregon, Yosemite National Park in California, and then finally end our trip at Grand Canyon National Park in Arizona, which is our ultimate favorite national park. So our national park road trip is a 19-day road trip, just me and my mom. And I know what a lot of people are thinking, wow, just you and your mom, y'all are gonna get crazy, y'all are gonna start hating each other and start getting into fights and not being able to be around each other. Yes, it happens sometimes, but the majority of the time we were there together experiencing these different national parks, and that's what mattered. Our first national park we went to was Grand Teton, and it was beautiful. It's a smaller national park than the other national parks I've been to. It's a glacier peak is what Grand Teton is, but the main thing I remember from there are the different wildlife that we saw. We saw a couple of moose. There was an entire area called Buffalo Flats where all maybe hundreds of buffalo were, and they'd cross the road just right in front of you, just like you were there every single day. It was really a unique national park, very outdoorsy, very foresty. After that national park, we went to Yellowstone, which was just north of it, and of course we went there for Old Faithful. It was beautiful, tons of wildlife there. It's huge. We didn't realize how big Yellowstone was, but we'll go back there eventually. Our next national park that we went to was Crater Lake National Park, which is in Oregon, and my personal favorite so far. It is the deepest lake in the United States, and it was not man-made. It used to be a mountain called Mount Mazima, a volcano, and it collapsed and it caused the crater. And when the crater formed, it allowed rain and snow to go down into the crater, and you have your lake. The deepest part of the lake that they have found out is a little over 1,000 feet, which is really, really deep. And one of the coolest things that me and my mom did at Crater Lake, we were there in the middle of July, and we had a snowball fight. They still had like 6 feet of snow, so it gets really cold up there. And I have a couple of pictures from Crater Lake. Here's a picture of me and my mom. That's our feet, and that's the lake, and that's Wizard Island that's in the middle of the lake. And then here's me and my mom on top of Wizard Island. We hiked it. After that, our next national park was Yosemite National Park, which was in California, about 3 hours east of San Francisco. It was huge. The main thing it's known for is for waterfalls and Half Dome. I have some pictures from it, but I only have one picture that I have with me, and it's called our tent that we stayed at, a canvas tent at Camp Curry. That's where we stayed at. It just had cots in it, and that's where we stayed for like 2 or 3 nights. So it was quite an experience, and we had a bear-proof box, so we had to put all of our smell good items in our food, and actually a small rodent got into our food. So it's definitely an experience that we'll remember. And once we left there, we got an email from Yosemite National Park saying that the hantavirus was going around, and it was at the camp that we stayed at. So we were a little bit scared because a couple people had died from the virus. And it was at the same time that we were there. And luckily, neither one of us got it. We're both still living here today, so that's a good thing. After we left there, we went to San Francisco and stayed there for a night to cut up driving time. And then we went and visited family in Ridgecrest, California. And then we went and stayed a night in Las Vegas because, to cut out time. And of course, if you're going to go by Vegas, you got to stop in Vegas if you've never been there. And so then after Vegas, we went to the Grand Canyon, which is where we always go every single summer, every time we go on our road trip. And we always stay there at least 2 or 3 nights. Grand Canyon is nothing like else in the world. It's beautiful. To put it into one word, probably magnificent is a really good description of it, because magnificent to me thinks huge, beautiful, colorful, makes me think all of those words combined into one word. It is my mom's favorite national park. Mine now is Crater Lake. After being there, you saw the pictures. But Grand Canyon will always be one of my favorites because we've made so many memories there, and we've gone there like 7 times. So Grand Canyon is definitely one of my favorites, and every single time we'll do a little hike down the Grand Canyon, about 1.5 miles down, and come back up. It's nothing. And then we usually rent bikes and ride bike throughout the Grand Canyon Village, and we usually like to stay at the cabins there that are right on the rim. If you've never been there before, I really encourage you to put it on your bucket list, and you need to go there at least once in your lifetime to say that you've been. It's not just a hole in the wall, and you can't just go there for half a day and you're done, because you're not really truly seeing the beauty of the Grand Canyon. So I have a couple of pictures. Here is me and my mom. That's the big sign whenever you walk in. This is at one of the points along the rim. Of course, they have the rail there so you don't fall over. And then this is one of my favorite pictures. We take a picture like this every single year. This is our favorite spot. Now, it looks like we're right on the edge of the canyon, because we are, but there's a ledge right below us, so we're not actually going to fall off the edge. So we're actually not as dangerous as we are. So that's my story of my 5 national parks that I traveled to this past summer, and I would do it again in a heartbeat. These national parks are something that need to be treasured by all ages, because it's in our American history. It's our history and our heritage that these are our national parks. We have to help preserve them. And if you haven't been to any of them, besides Hot Springs National Park in our state, you need to get out, go out west, and just travel and just go to as many national parks as you can. Because if you don't, you'll regret it later in life when you're too old and you can't get out there. So, get out there and go to your national park.